And we're back. And my sources have told me, if you're following along, Alec Ingold did indeed go to Wisconsin. So Sam Smith is once again our college expert. Now, this is part of the podcast right before the Sunday recap that I bring up a little stats. And I usually get them from the Statman himself. But we get the Statman live here. So please, Sam, could you enlighten us on the stats that you
I
have this week?
believe I believe he's going to break down. There's a website that he's found that kind of breaks down some like if this happened, if your schedule was this sort of deal for your own personal fantasy league. Is that right, Sam? That you can kind of see different things that could have happened with like different schedules and different matchups.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Joey. And I'll start it off with Nick's already been eliminated from first, second, third, and fourth place.
Well, it's a good thing you only got to be fifth or
You're
sixth in the
saying there's a
playoffs.
chance.
And he has a 0.25% chance to make either one of those last two spots. But he does have an excuse.
That's on the
Only three
irrelevant
teams
touchdowns of the week.
Yeah.
Only three teams in the league would have a winning record with Nick's schedule, which is by far the hardest. And it would be Joey, Derek, and Jackson, and all of them would be 4-3.
Come
So-
on, man.
So it's not even like they'd have a great record, be in the top three. They'd just barely be above 500. And on top of that, Joey and Andy have the easiest schedule.
I noticed
So
I noticed you took your glasses off to say that last one.
yeah, because it's hard to wear glasses inside. I don't know how blind people do it all the time, but Joey and Andy have the easiest schedule by far.
By far.
I don't know what to
Yeah,
tell you.
And so Andy is not really working out for him. Joey's taking advantage of it. So that's why Joey has over 95% chance of making the playoffs at this point.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and defend myself. It's not like my team's not been putting up points.
Guilty.
I did I did have a terrible week this week, and I'm not taking advantage of it considering I'm playing against somebody else with low scoring. But I think I'm third place of like points 4 in the league. So it's not like my team hasn't been doing its part, you know?
Yeah,
All I'm
something
gonna
like that. I
say
don't
is-
have all the numbers.
Every week someone
You're
tells
the
me something
stat
about my
guy.
team. Yeah. Every week someone tells me something about my team. Whether it's, oh, I did some research and you're dealing with more injuries than a normal fantasy player deals with an entire year. Oh, and by the way, it's week 5. And then I learned, oh, by the way, you're playing the hardest schedule by far in the league. And you know what? I'm still having fun with it. And I can still get 5th place and I can still get 6th place. And be careful, because if my team gets on a roll with top 15 rest of the way down to Foreman, I might make a run at the playoff bracket for the losers. So just be on the lookout. Let's get into the Sunday recap. Joe, the Ravens played on Thursday, so we don't have to talk about them. Let's get to your Commanders, who this was not a great game fantasy-wise.
No.
But very late, they come back and get a touchdown. They win 17-16. They're now 4-4 in the best division in football by record. The Colts fall to 3-4-1. Like I said, not a lot you want to talk about here. Jonathan Taylor was not good once
No.
again.
That's too low. That's the point total that I'm talking about.
Michael Pittman got 9 targets. He was 753, so not great either, with Sam Ellinger as the quarterback. And then Antonio Gibson scored through the air. Terry McLaurin 6 for 113. A lot of it came on that last deep play. I think he landed down at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
So a decent day.
Yeah,
Could have been better if he scores, but I'll let you talk about it, Joe, and even Sam, if you got anything to say about this game.
I mean, I'm obviously very happy that we got the win. Moved up to 500. Taylor Heineke just brings kind of a spark to the team in general. Definitely seems like just a huge locker room guy. Rushing game was really weird. Antonio Gibson got a lot of work in the air, but Taylor Heineke was the leading rusher, 6 for 29 and a touchdown. You hate to see that because I know I had to start Brian Robinson in a different league. Soup had to start Brian Robinson in a different league. I guess it's good because Derek had to start him against me, so ended up not putting up too many points there. On the flip side, Alec Pierce, the leading receiver, with 65 yards on 3 catches. Sam Ellinger only threw for 201 yards. Jonathan Taylor with the injury we mentioned. Pretty defensive and lack like just a couple offenses that didn't really click until later on in the game throughout this game here. So Washington pulls away 17-16. Go Commanders. The NFC Beast is back.
I mean, I'm just kind of worried about Jonathan Taylor at this point. Like he was the unanimous number one pick,
Not for
and
me.
some some
I think
people
this
before the
podcast
season,
said that
most
if
people
they're
would
both
say
healthy,
unanimous, but some people were still taking CMC before the season. But I don't even like it's really worrisome. Like the
That whole
way
Colts
yeah,
offense
never
you're
is.
missed
not
a
you're not
practice or
wrong.
anything, and then the past couple weeks just not looking good for him.
Let's go to London, where the Broncos won 21-17. It's a real shame the Broncos won because they played terrible once again. And Lake kind of got it going. They're now 3-5. Jacksonville's 2-6. It's been about 5 weeks since Jacksonville's looked like the team we thought they might be. So
Yep.
I think they're dead. The Broncos, like I said, it's honestly just a shame they had to win because then Russ got to say, let's ride. He can talk about his high knees and stretching on the plane. I mean, this guy is ridiculous. I heard he looked bad. He threw a pick, I thought, early. I was listening in the car because I was
Look
coaching all day
terrible.
Sunday. Uh, but Jerry Jeudy gets it done, 6 for 63 with a touchdown. Greg Dulcich, 4 for 87. I believe most of that just came on one drive. Ooh, Cortland Sutton was a ghost. As far as in the backfield, Latavius led the way, but Melvin Gordon also got a touchdown run. So I think it's still kind of 50-50. I think they lean Latavius just because of Melvin Gordon's fumbling history. I'll let you guys take the Jacksonville side where looks like we have a real superstar in the backfield.
I mean, Travis Etienne, like there's a reason they traded away James Robinson. They wanted to give him all the touches. Well, I think he had 83% of the snaps, 85% of the snaps, but he's going to be a premier back, top 6, top 12 back for the rest of the season and top 12 for sure. But unless the only thing standing in his way is, I guess, injuries. I don't know if you've seen the video of how he has a inward facing toe so he can change directions laterally faster, but it's like having those sort of ankles and feet, it's highly susceptible to injury. There's a whole bunch of slow-mo videos of it. It's weird, but he's going to be good. He's going to get almost all the production down in Jacksonville.
Well, we can't not talk about how Christian Kirk was 3 for 40, and that was Sam's big player that he needed. Um, let's go to Atlanta, where this game was crazy back and forth. I heard
This
the
game was
end of it.
drunk.
We almost got PJ Walker is, by the way, still the truth. 19 for 36, 317, one touchdown, one pick. I should probably start by saying the Panthers lost 37-34. They're 2-6. Atlanta's now 4-4. And if, by the way, if Carolina would have won this game and moved to 3-5, they would have been in control of the division. So, my God, what's going on down there? Now Atlanta's in control, which is the worst. Mariota finally threw the ball a little more, 20 for 28. Kyle Pitts had a good day, but guess what? Drake London, 4 for 31, still irrelevant. Unbelievable. DJ Moore went off. Foreman, obviously, 26 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I will say for Foreman, even last week when Hubbard was playing, I think he only had 10 carries, but he still ran for over 100 yards. So Foreman's looked really good. And obviously, this game, the crazy ending, DJ Moore takes his helmet off. I think it's Eddie Pinheiro. Is that who the kicker is?
Yep.
I mean, he misses the extra point that's longer. He still should hit that. And then he misses an overtime 33-yard chip shot. So never in a million years would I think there'd be this many points scored in this game, but they got it done for some fantasy.
That was the real thing. I mean, DJ Moore shouldn't have taken his helmet off, blah, blah, blah. You can get all over that. But when it really comes down to it, you pay the kicker to make the 30-some yard field goal in overtime. The long extra point ended up being like upper 40s, so that's no gimme. But I feel like anything in the 30s for a NFL kicker, unless something happens on the snap, hold, or it gets blocked, like that's got to be in the upper mid to upper 90s like percentage for professional kickers. So that was just crazy. I'm sure DJ Moore kind of feels kind of shitty about it, but on the flip side, I mean, Kyle Pitts got it done, but Drake London's still kind of unplayable right now. 4 for 31 on 5 targets. They love to run the ball. 37 rushing attempts, 14 for Algier and 16 for Huntley. Yeah, the Falcons continue to ground and pound. Deontay Foreman, you mentioned, DJ Moore. Good for him. He deserves it. Getting the work. He's a great wide receiver and has never really been able to get it done. So, yeah.
PJ Walker, previously, I think a Houston Roughneck of the AFL. I think he might have led them
XFL?
to the XFL. I don't know which, dude. There was like 3 leagues within 2 years.
Yeah,
He
I
was an
think
I don't know.
XFL guy.
XFL. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of had chemistry with guys, look way better on the field than Baker did. And about the DJ Moore incident, I don't think that should have been a flag. You can't
Yeah, I
take your
don't think
helmet off
so
on the
either.
playing
Yeah.
surface, and he wasn't on the field. He wasn't in the end zone. He was the white border surrounding the field. That does not count as the playing surface. That's when he took his helmet off, and that's what he got flagged for. So that I don't think that should have been a flag, and I don't know if it's affecting him all that much because he wanted to get traded. He wants out of Carolina. I don't think it. Who knows? He might have done that on purpose just so they get a better draft pick, so he has a real quarterback next year.
The Robbie Anderson effect. All right, let's go to Dallas. Another game that was really high scoring, way more high scoring than I think anyone would have thought it was. The Cowboys win. They're now 6-2. They win 49-29 over the Bears. Bears now 3-5. Obviously, we saw they traded Roquan Smith after this game. So that's two big defensive guys they've traded in the past week. So their defense getting a little thinner as the days go by. Justin Fields was good again for fantasy, 151 yards to the air, 2 touchdowns, but he's running it 8 for 60 with a touchdown. David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert are splitting time, Joe. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it's turning into a timeshare there, dude. I know the fantasy footballers, they said Khalil Herbert as a second half sleeper in one of their recent episodes just because of they said something I think it was last week that they were going to start riding the hot hand, and I mean it's turned into just about a 50-50 timeshare. I mean, obviously I think I don't know, did David Montgomery out touch him? I know Khalil Herbert had more yards. No, it's a 50-50. Khalil Herbert actually had 16. David Montgomery had 15, and Khalil Herbert doubled his average yard per touch in that game.
Should be said that, by the way, Cole Kmet scored a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, he
If you
did.
remember him, Joe.
I was all over that guy preseason. Let me tell you, I knew he was a great football player. 90,
Notre Dame.
96 targets last year, I think, without a touchdown. I was all over it that this dude will score touchdowns this year. I think I did say on the podcast, like one of the preseason shows, that I guarantee a touchdown from for Cole Kmet this year. It took a long time, but he finally got one, so that's good.
I don't know if you've seen this, but Khalil Herbert, he's been averaging more points per game this season than Jonathan Taylor.
You're
Khalil
really
Herbert. Yeah.
you're really upset about that, huh?
I mean, I'm not. I just
Andy just threw his phone, considering Khalil
yeah,
Herbert's on
just
his bench
like
every week
there's a
too.
big difference between number one overall pick and the backup running back for the Bears.
CeeDee Lamb had a decent day, 5 for 77 and a touchdown. Tony Pollard, obviously, the big day, 44 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns with a long of 54. And I think Dak ran for a touchdown as well. Cowboys get the win. Our next game, the Miami Dolphins and the Detroit Lions. This one was a boat race early. Dolphins win 31-27. They're 5-3. The Lions are 1-6. I mean, huge days from Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Waddle scored twice. On the other side, Amon-Ra had a decent day with 7 catches. TJ Hawkinson for tight end, pretty good. But Jamal Williams, 10 carries, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, 5 carries for 6 yards. He scored through the air, 5 for 27 and a touchdown. But I mean, they said he was going to be fine. I don't know what to do with DeAndre Swift. He scored, which saved you. But I mean, what is going on in Detroit?
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, usually I would say that this is like in this kind of situation, you'd say, well, he just got back from injury, but he had a lot more rest than was planned, at least that was verbalized to like the public. I honestly think that this might just be like how much they like Dan Campbell loves Jamal Williams. They love giving him the goal line touches. I don't think that this is gonna turn into. I mean, DeAndre Swift's never been a high volume guy. He's always been like make the most of what he does get and get the passing work kind of running back. So I still think DeAndre Swift will be fine, but I think Jamal Williams is he could be a borderline flex play every week, to be honest, going forward.
Yeah, I would definitely say during the bye weeks coming up, like Jamal Williams is almost a solid flex play every single week. I don't like he scored 22, 29, 24, 16 points those 4 different games this season. So he's definitely going to be able to score points. He's definitely going to get the touches on the goal line. So until DeAndre Swift comes in and he's having 100, 150 rushing yards a game, which I don't think he will, I think Jamal Williams is definitely going to be worth a start.
Vikings, Cardinals. Vikings win 34-26. They're 6-1. Cardinals 3-5. I think there was a late push by the Cardinals. It was pretty cool. Did you see Patrick Peterson made fun of Kyler Murray with a little video game thing, and it's the new
Yeah,
Call of
that was
Duty
pretty
out.
good.
Kyler's now 0-1. DeAndre Hopkins had a sweet catch, and he's all the way back. Never a doubt, huh? 12
No,
for
never a doubt.
159 and a touchdown. Unbelievable. Justin Jefferson, a little bit of a quieter day, but he was 2 yards away from a 100-yard day. Uh, no James Conner and Benjamin just didn't do it this week. So
Yep.
not a ton. It was a good day for fantasy. The Cardinals are still kind of a mess on offense. It seems like they just don't have a true identity. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about this game, but I have nothing more.
Rondale Moore, I think, definitely deserves the mention. 7 for 92 and a touchdown with 8 targets. I think that they're going to continue. I mean, what they wanted this season to be was DeAndre Hopkins with Hollywood Brown and then Rondale Moore in that slot role. And that combination sounds pretty dang good. So I think Rondale Moore for the future should be somebody that is definitely looked at. Obviously, Dalvin Cook got it done on the ground, 20 for 111 and a touchdown in Minnesota. And you mentioned the wide receiver room as well already. And Dalvin Cook had 5 for 30 in the air as well. I mean, the Vikings continue to get it done, 6-1 on the year.
Saints, Raiders. Saints win 24-0. Raiders didn't look like they
Gross.
wanted to be there at all. I don't really think we need to spend a lot of time here.
Nope.
I mean, Josh Jacobs still averaged 4.3 yards a carry, but when you only get 10 and you're losing the entire time, there's just not a talk about. I mean, the Saints really didn't do anything special. Kamara obviously had a great day. That was your start of the week, Joe. I saw some of the clips. It looked like some horrendous defense. It looked like just a simple Texas route that he ran. And I don't think anyone put a hand on him. There wasn't a defender in a mile. So, not a good day for Olave. But again, when the Raiders aren't doing anything on offense and Kamara scores 3 times, it's kind of hard for anyone else to get really involved.
Yeah, this was the Alvin Kamara we know and love. 9 for 96 in the air, 18 for 62 on the ground with 3 total touchdowns. I mean, that's the first round Alvin Kamara top 5 pick a few years ago, or 2 years ago, I should say, that we saw. Because I know last year was a little weird with the receiving as well. Yeah, that's really the only thing to talk about in this game. Chris Olave continues to get it done as well.
Raiders need to hit the panic button. Their fans do, their coaches do. They need to change something up. I don't know if Raiders like fantasy owners need to. I still feel like Devontae Adams, he's going to get his points. This was a fluke week, but something's not working in Las Vegas, and they need to change something up before the season goes completely down the drain.
Maybe they should move to Oakland.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I agree.
that's a good idea.
Patriots, Jets. Jets lose. They were on a little bit of a winning streak, but they dropped this one. They're now 5-3. Patriots 4-4. 22-17 the final. Mac Jones played this entire game, which means it was boring. Ramondre Stevenson was very good. 16 for 71. He also added 7 for 72 through the air.
That's juicy.
Jacoby Myers, 9 for 60 with a touchdown. That was pretty much the entirety of the New England offense. So I didn't see this game, but I heard Zach Wilson looked terrible. He threw 3 picks.
You should check the stat line.
But I mean, if you look at the stat line, obviously 3 picks, but he was 20 for 41, which is not great, but 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nobody in the backfield did it for the Jets. They still, I mean, no Breece Hall is going to be a problem. And then Garrett Wilson, 6 for 115. I know we talked a little bit about maybe he would be the one guy in the receiving core you would use. And of course, Tyler Conklin goes 6 for 79 with 2 touchdowns a week. I drop him. I have nothing else to say if you guys want to.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on this game for fantasy reasons. Not that many players you're really starting anyways.
Will Elijah Moore get traded before the trade deadline?
I don't know. He doesn't get the ball.
They said they're not
Doesn't
trading
get the
him.
ball. No chemistry. Who knows? I don't get the ball.
Oh, I saw that quote. That was great.
Steelers, Eagles, the battle for Pennsylvania. The Eagles whoop them 35-13. Eagles now 7-0. Steelers 2-6. AJ Brown went off. Jalen Hurts had a great day. Miles Sanders, 9 carries, 78 yards and a touchdown. That's great effectiveness. They just really didn't need him. And then for Devonta Smith, it was an AJ Brown day. Still 6 for 64 for Goddard. All right, on the Pittsburgh side, there's 2 things I want to bring up. I have no idea what to do because I have Deontay Johnson I'm playing, and he gets 9 targets, but it just doesn't matter. 5 for 35. And then George Pickens, obviously, is my start of the week because I just feel like he has to get the ball. 3 targets and a gooser. And on top of all that, by the way, Najee Harris somehow is still the RB 23 on the year, so he's the very back end of an RB2. He hasn't scored more than 13 points this year in a single game.
Crazy.
He has been terrible. I mean, it's hard to watch, but I don't know that. I mean, I think Philly. We know what's going on with Philly, but what do you do with Najee Harris, and what do you do with? I mean, it looks like Pat Fryermuth is the most consistent pass catcher, probably the most consistent stealer you can even play.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. Pat Fryermuth's been getting it done this year. With Najee, I mean, I've at least said it, and I continue to think the same thought. Most people, because of where you drafted him, like you don't really, unless you hit the waivers properly and you found one of these guys, there's not really like too much you can do except just accept the fact that you're going to get the 8 to 12 point range and just hope he finds the end zone. Maybe he'll get 15 if you're lucky, which he hasn't even done once this year. But it's really hard to look at Najee Harris, look at the name and not start him. But it's gross. It's gross. And I don't have any good plan for it because I don't think you should. But at the same time, usually with roster construction, when you use a first round pick like that, you're going to have to, so really strange.
I don't know what Steelers fans would say, but I think Tomlin should look into starting Jalen Warren over Najee Harris. He's already been proven a better pass blocker, and Najee's been the best when he has a decent team around him. Like last year, he was good, but that's because Ben Roethlisberger kind of ran the offense and allowed Najee to have more opportunities. When coming out of like he was great at Bama, he had the best team in the country at Bama, and even his combine stats, not a great 40 time, below average shuttle and 3-cone drill. And like he was a strong running back. Like he was in one of the upper percentiles for that, but he's not a great athlete. And unless he's in a good offense, I don't think he's gonna really contribute that much. So I think Jalen Warren needs to get some more touches there.
I don't know if you can start him just because
that's juicy.
I don't know if you can start him just because they used the first round draft capital on him. But if you want to get him more playing time, I think that.
Yeah, they're not going to start him because of that, but
that's juicy what you just said that you want to sit Najee in NFL, not fantasy. You're talking put him on the bench.
You said he wasn't a good athlete. We have it on recording.
You just cooked him. You just told Najee to
he's
kick rocks, buddy.
But like compared, like he looks big, looks strong. He's not that.
He's not big. He's not strong. That's what I'm hearing.
No, but he's not that agile. They need to start getting Jalen Warren some more touches in this offense, change something up because Najee just seems very stagnant in whatever he's doing.
I can't sit here and say that Najee's been getting it done, so I can't argue with you too much about it.
Let's go to Houston.
Let's go.
Tennessee wins 17-10. This is just what you expect from an AFC South matchup. Tennessee's 5-2. Houston's 1-5-1. Malik Willis got the start, and boy, did they let him cook. 6 for 10, 55 yards and a pick.
Boy, did they let him cook.
Oh, man.
That's
Derrick Henry got the ball
that is good.
in his gut 32 times. He ran for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the other side, Dameon Pierce. Remember we talked about this. Really only excited to start the running backs here. Dameon Pierce, 15 for 35. That's not great, but they did get him involved in the passing game a little bit. He did have 3 catches for 16 yards and got into the end zone that way. Receivings on both sides, nothing was special. Brandon Cooks got 4 for 73. So he's the only guy I think who would have broken 10 points out of the receivers.
Yeah. How many targets? I don't know if you guys have, if you're looking right now or have already seen it. How many targets do you think the leading target wide receiver got for the Tennessee Titans? Yep, 2. Robert Woods, 2 targets, 2 catches for 26 yards. I mean,
6 for 10.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6 for
yards.
10. So, yeah. Just crazy.
A lot to go around.
Gross game unless your name's Derrick Henry. Then obviously you were in love.
Yeah.
I think that's Derrick Henry's 4th or 5th game with over 200 rushing yards against the Texans.
It is. It was some
and
record.
I kind of expected them to let Malik Willis do a little bit more instead of just – I thought they were going to let him run.
I think I can
get him out of the pocket.
Well, they didn't need to, though. That's the thing. Derrick Henry was getting 5 to 6 yards every time he touched the ball, it seemed like, and then breaking off a few every once in a while.
Then what's the point of starting him over Ryan?
I think Tannehill was hurt.
Tannehill was hurt, yeah.
All right, Statman, come in with some info.
Buddy.
I'm a college guy.
40,
Wisconsin.
49ers They don't play in
England.
Wisconsin. They play in San Francisco, and they have 31 points compared to the Rams to 14. Rams are 3-4. 49ers 4-4. Oh boy. Jimmy Garoppolo, by the way, to add to the because obviously Christian McCaffrey had a great day. Christian McCaffrey threw a 30+ air yard touchdown. It took him 2 games to do that. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's thrown some long touchdown passes in his years in San Francisco, but this is the first time ever he's thrown a touchdown of 30+ air yards because I think all of them are usually like to Debo, and he does
Yeah.
all the work after
And
the
he
fact.
breaks it loose.
So in this week, both of them did the same thing. Isn't that nice? They both got their first 30+ air yard touchdown.
That is nice. Good for
Yeah.
them.
Teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Ayuk had a pretty good day with no Debo Samuel, 6 for 81, a touchdown. McCaffrey was electric. I think he fits really well in the offense. Besides that, I mean, the Rams couldn't run the football. Cooper Kupp was really the only guy that was interesting. I mean, Allen Robinson broke 10 points, but bad day for Tyler Higbee, who left with injury and came back. The Rams need to do something. We said that earlier. I don't know.
Is there a spot that either one of you guys could think of that you would have wanted Christian McCaffrey to go to more than the Niners? Because when you think about it, obviously the Kyle Juszczyk finger injury came at a great time too, because definitely,
fuck you,
at least
Kyle.
I personally had question marks because Juszczyk usually is that passing down kind of guy. Not that I would have assumed that they were going to take Christian McCaffrey off the field, but I mean, I don't think that I could really think of a better place that I would have wanted Christian McCaffrey to go if I had him than San Francisco.
I mean, especially with Debo out his first week, like full week starting. I know he got plenty of touches last week, but his first full week starting, Debo's out. That really helped his production.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I really wanted was him to stay in Carolina because he gets all the work. But you can make the argument that maybe he gets the slightest downgrading work going to San Francisco, but it's just more effective because it's a
that's what I
better
was thinking.
offense.
Yep.
So that's really the only thing I can say to it. So it's working out great so far. It's only been 2 games, 1 full game, but he looks like he's the main option in the offense. Seattle, 27. They beat the Giants, who had 13. 5-3. Seattle leads the division. Yeah. Giants, 6-2. Hopefully they lose like 10 straight now.
I mean, I hit this game though. I'm going to jump in because I was on Seattle. I told you, I made it clear Seattle's winning this game. Saquon Barkley was not going to have a day. Check the whole stat line for Barkley. 20 for 53 with a 2.7 yard per carry
And a touchdown.
Yeah, God, shouldn't have happened, but he had a long of 15 yards. So then he really had 19 for like 30 something. I mean, against a Seattle defense that has been getting scored on with ease. I don't know why. I had the tingle. I hit the sprinkle on the sit for Saquon Barkley, a little sprinkle. He did get over 15 fantasy points, but
Tingle.
Yeah, I'm just patting myself on the back a little bit, but you can keep going.
I mean, you were right about your Saquon pick. The Seahawks, they didn't shut him down, but they like really contained him. But your second prediction about 10 minutes later in the show, you said, well, now I can see Saquon popping off for 3 touchdowns
Yeah, I
and
know,
beating
because I
the
was so
Seahawks
scared.
single-handedly. So you had both sides covered no matter what.
That's true. I couldn't have
What a
lost.
hedge.
That's a good point.
I will say it's a who's who in the New York receiving game. Slayton had a decent day. Wan'Dale Robinson, 2 for 15 was super disappointing. Just
That
3
is
targets.
disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. And then the only thing I can say, Ken Walker, obviously very good. The only thing I can say was interesting in the Seattle side is I think there was a pretty good expectation that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both weren't going to play. They both end up playing. They have very similar stat lines, and they both scored a touchdown. So, I mean, that's all. I mean, you guys got anything to say about Seattle? I mean, they look like they could be a pretty good team the rest of the way.
Kenneth Walker's good.
Oh.
I mean, they wrote the man off and he ain't right back. That's it.
They
All right,
called
let's
out
get-
Russell Wilson in the press conference after. I like that.
Let's
He ain't
get
right
in-
back.
Let's get into our final matchup. Sunday Night Football. Packers, Bills. Bills win 27-17. They're 6-1. Packers are 3-5. Oh, Rodgers, probably one of his better days, but still not great. Josh Allen threw 2 picks. Thought that was interesting. Not his
Got
best day
sloppy
either.
there at the end.
He might get traded this week. Not in the NFL, but
Oh yeah. I thought you were
Gnarly.
talking NFL. I was like, yeah, dude, he might.
Aaron Jones, 20 for 143, just put me out to shame. Romeo Dobbs with a nice touchdown catch, but besides that, I mean, there's really nothing again to be looking forward to in this passing attack from Green Bay. Um, I, I don't know if one of you guys want to jump in.
No, Stephon Diggs is Stephon Diggs. James Cook started to get a little bit of work there later
He
on in the
did.
game. Obviously, it got out of reach a little bit, and he broke off a good 1 for 41 in the passing game as well. He got the ball out in a little bit of space and made the most out of it. So that was nice to see, considering the first time they gave him the ball, he did fumble. So it was a while ago, obviously, but I'm sure James Cook hasn't been getting as much work as he would have probably expected, considering he was a higher drafted running back in the NFL. But I mean, yeah, the Bills are legit.
All right, that was our Sunday recap. We can now get into our Thursday night football preview. It is the Philadelphia Eagles at 7-0 visiting the Houston Texans at 1-5-1. Pretty cool thing. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Philly, the Astros will be playing the Phillies in the World Series, and they have that day off, which is Thursday. And then possibly for game 6 and 7, they'll be back in Houston. So Philly and Houston, the city's really going at it this week. This
That's cool.
This has got to be heavy favorites already. 13-point favorites are the Eagles on the road, over under 44. I'm going to be on the man. Do I take a big line? Do I take a sneaky cover for the Texans?
I mean, this is just the game where the Texans win, right? Outright.
I'll say the Texans cover. I'll say it.
Wow. Yeah, 13-point line is never fun, but I'm gonna go ahead and ride with that. I don't think the Davis Mills connection with Brandon Cooks as
We don't know if Brandon Cooks will be a Texan by this game, by the way.
That's a good point. Might not be. Over under 44, I'm assuming like 30 of that is for Philly, if not more. Obviously, you're starting every Eagle you can, from the tight end, running back, quarterback, both wide receivers. And on the flip side, Dameon Pierce and Brandon Cooks, if necessary, even though he hasn't been getting it done as you would have expected. I'm going to go ahead and get Philly here on the Thursday night game, though.
Yeah, I can see Philly dropping 40 on Houston, but I don't know if I'd put money on that. If I had to put money on something, it'd be the Texans team total under. It's probably going to be at like 15, maybe 16, around there. But I that's what I'd like better, because I know they're not a good offense. I think the Eagles are going to have the ball even more than the Titans did this past week, and Texans are going to look even worse against the Eagles.
Well, that is our Thursday night football preview. It's about time to wrap it up. But hey, guys, how about this last little question for you? We are recording on Halloween. What, you guys ever go as a football player or some type of athlete for Halloween? I was Todd Heap back in 2006.
Todd Heap.
You were also Todd Heap?
Wore Todd Heap for like 3 of my elementary school pictures.
Oh,
like yearbook
did you wear a
pictures.
helmet too?
Only 1 year, but it wasn't a football helmet. It was for different reasons.
Okay.
I was LaDainian Tomlinson with the powder blue back in the day. That was my favorite jersey, probably my favorite jersey I've ever owned, to be honest. I had a LaDainian Tomlinson fat head in the powder blues as well. He was just, for some reason, I was a big LaDainian Tomlinson guy. I definitely wore his jersey in a couple yearbook pictures too.
Well, I don't know how we went from
jersey.
I don't know how we went from Halloween costumes to yearbook pictures, but that's pretty much
I wore his jersey for Halloween sometimes too when I was younger. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Me too.
But then I brought up the yearbook stuff because so did Sam Smith, and I just want to be like Sam Smith.
I want to be like Joey Briner.
Well, right. Sam Smith, we do have a Twitter account. I know you were asking about it earlier, Sam. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you know the Twitter is at EsideFF with capital ES and an FF at the end. Those are capital too. We also post this podcast. My co-host does. He's a great editor in chief over there. Nick Testoni puts this out on Apple and YouTube for us and for the boys at Eastside Fantasy Football. Go ahead and check us out if you haven't already.
Do you have any closing remarks, Sam?
Somebody make a trade with Jake Wills. He's the only person in the league that hasn't made a trade yet.
I noticed that a couple of days ago.
It's not because nobody's offering him trades, because I've offered him Herbert and Tyler Algier for Lamar multiple times, and he keeps denying it. Don't know why.
He, by the way, has told me a million times that he's very scared to make a trade in this league because he just doesn't want to get ripped off, which is all the trades are about. So he's just too nervous. Anyways, That was the Eastside Face Football Podcast for today. And you know what? We're in November now, Joe. And it's crunch time. It's crunch time for fantasy.
No doubt. Love it. Best time of the year. Give me the fall.
We'll be back on Saturday to preview week 9. We're going to have 6 buys, so buckle up because it's going to be a rough one. For Joe Briner and Sam Smith, I'm Nick Testoni. Have a good one, guys.
Good luck with your Monday Night Miracles.
Signing off. Oh no, I shouldn't have said signing off.
Just say the thing.
Do Statman.